Oh, welcome everybody. Simulation Talk 362. Guru, per usual, on top of it. Appreciate you, brother. Let's put our website here. Hope everybody are doing all right. Welcome to everybody on TikTok coming in. Eisen Plan. Oh, and of course, let's start the stage on Discord. What up, Mr. Baloo? Golden Crystal, good to see you. The stage is up on Discord. Oh, the camera jumped off. There you go. Camera is being weird recently. I don't know why. Something about the connection, maybe? I don't know. Something strange happening. Yep, I think it is the connection. It might be this. Might be the HDMI. Strange. Piggy's in the house. Good to see you. What is this? This is kind of, there we go. It's a little better. You guys can hear me okay, I'm assuming, right? Let's bring it up here. There you go. Something is different. No, didn't do it on purpose. Appreciate you. What up, Val? What is up with this? Something is different here. There you go. Maybe go like this. Maybe if I go, oh, there you go. Maybe it's this. Trying to make it festive, but at the same time, it creates some issues here with the cable. Thank you. Welcome everybody who are joining now. TikTok, X, YouTube, and Twitch. And yeah, if you guys want to follow on Twitch, it's LaserX83 on Twitch. Come join us there. Gabe. Bert. Good to see everybody. Jason, Jacob, Soul Trading. Happy holidays to you too, brother. Power Off, Maverick Star, Val, Fungi Focus, everybody are here. Good to see everybody. Okay, let's jump in. Today might be a pretty relatively quick live. What's happening here? I know something is off. What up, Guru? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you doing today? Ahmed is in the house. Janito. Okay, so just reminding everybody that whatever conversation we're having, maybe that's what it is. Let's focus on. Anyway, so it really bothers me that I don't quite understand what happened here, but it is what it is. There we go. Oh, I know. Wait, do I know? I don't know. Anyways, if you're asking a question, make it from the perspective of yourself. What up, Caesar? Kesar. Always include what is the reason you're interested in the topic you're asking about or the question you're asking about. It will make it a much more interesting conversation. Maverick Star is saying, Denny, do you think we will have more projects like the line in Dubai in the future? Yeah, I think futuristic structures are obviously going to be the future. So yes, Ah, started really early, 5:55. Wow. Remind me where you are again? Is it the Netherlands or I always forget. What up, Barbara? Oh, 1 second. Good to see you. India, India. Right, right, right. Wait, why is it more wrong? What? I okay, India. I don't know why I keep forgetting India. I have no idea. But why is it more? Wait, is like the Netherlands is like the opposite of India or something? What is it? Why is it the why? It's such a weird. You guys see the trailer for Disclosure Day by Spielberg? My favorite comment said Emily Blunt plays a newly opened soda can. Nice. No, Disclosure Day by Spielberg. Let's see. I'm gonna prep it for myself to watch later. Disclosure Day trailer. Nice. It would be kind of interesting, like to imagine what it would be like on the day of disclosure. How do we know that we're on the right path in life when you commit to a version of ourselves? That's a great question. Asked by user 111, spelled WANWANWAN. Great handle, great question. How do we know that we're on the right path in life when you commit to a version of ourselves? Well, there are universal truths and universal proper trajectories that are not limited by what you choose to be. So whatever version you choose to be, there are certain truths that will always be true. And those are the ones that you want to focus on. And one of the obvious ones is the golden rule, treat your neighbor as thyself. And there's others like that. So there's certain ethical universal truths that you might want to focus on. And then you always want to place your bets on critical thinking, sharing ideas openly and being open to other ideas. So that's a great question though. But yeah, there's definitely ways to express yourself through a particular style without compromising you moving quote unquote in the right direction. That's definitely that's definitely very possible. That's a great question. And actually, I'm probably going to give it a little bit more thought after today, and we'll try and give a more comprehensive answer. Have I figured out what the code says? No. As we move by, as we go by. Have I figured out what the code says? No, not yet. You got it. The cardinal, that's from the spirit world and the Vatican world. What are we talking about? Hold on. Looking really good. It's that the aliens communicate in sound code versus light code. Cool. I can't pop the trailer on because this live is monetized. They will shut it down immediately. But we can do it in the weekly lives. In the weekly live, if you guys come on Sunday, all the members we can all watch it together. That'll be great. What up, Lux? Never know how to pronounce it correctly. Thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate you. Vintage USA is in the house. Welcome on Discord. Do we have any fun questions for today? Oh, there was another thing that I was supposed to watch from. Okay, wow, so many things, man. Infinite possibility space. There we go. Hello, Vintage. Good to see you. Luck. What is that? Oh, oh. So, anybody who's joining just now and not familiar, this is Simulation Talk. The channel revolves around the simulation hypothesis. My name is Danny, and I'm claiming to have found proof that we live in a simulation. And we meet here on almost every single day discussing this topic. What is that? What? I don't know what that was. Did you guys hear the noise? As well as adjacent topics like science, religion, spirituality, philosophy, God, whatever comes to mind. What up, Cosmito? What is this? Hold on. Things happening. Oh, the hard drive. There's a lot of technical difficulties today. It's literally the hard drive going berserk. Okay, here we go. Turn it off. All right. Perfect. So if you have any questions about any of these topics, feel free to ask, and then make sure you frame them. My hair is really need of arranging, and please share them from the perspective of the human experience. What is it like being you asking that question? Why do you care? All that kind of good stuff. Thank you, Val. Appreciate the contribution. Thank you for the Merry Christmas gift. I appreciate you, Val. I really do. I know that you like I told you before, you really bring the very fun spirit to the conversation. So I always appreciate that you're here, and thank you so much for the Christmas gift. It is actually one of the most reward. Val said, "Merry Christmas, my friend. If I was rich, you would be too." Well, you go fill out the what is it? The Powerball, whatever, the lottery. There's a chance. There's always a chance, you know. Actually, it's probably one of the most rewarding things to be able to just take care of other people. Like, imagine you actually win, and then you get to like take care of your family members. It's amazing. Same, love it. Merry Christmas to you and yours also. Much love. You too, Yoni. Yeah, we're approaching the most festive of all holidays. Is a Cosmo claimed on his. Oh, you can't see him. hid from the camera. Proper. I really love this whole season. Christmas, New Year's, all of it is pretty great. And yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Mitch Priss, good to see you. Let's see if we have any interesting topics there spoken on Discord. Jet Black, Nico joined Vintage. The video. Oh, this was from way before. What day is it today? Thursday. Oh, wow. Project Hail Mary is very exciting. I really love the book. It's a really lovely book. I was just talking about it the other day, and then all of a sudden somebody told me that they made a movie. I've often thought I have died many times, and it's like I OD one time, but they brought me back, and I didn't want to be here, and what if I did, and yet I didn't? Sounds insane and rough, and I'm sorry to hear that you had to go through that. But what do you mean many times? Hi, baby girl. Thursday. I know. It's always there. Hello, Dan. Is the code you see in the laser also perceptible under the influence of other psychedelics? Yes, we know that all tryptamines work and even 5-MeO, which is surprising, but all of them work. Like they would not. I see. Yeah, it's very possible that it's exactly what happened. Oracles of Light, welcome, John, Jeff. Uh, just a quick update. Reminder: if you guys want to follow our Twitch and follow us from there and help the channel grow, go to LaserX83 on Twitch. LaserX83. And I'm letting you know right away that today is going to be relatively a short live, just like a very, very tight schedule today. So if you guys have a few more questions, we can address them. And if not, then we'll slowly adjourn for today. Oh, Nico is here. How are you, brother?
Hey, Danny, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Yesterday I read this paper by Peter Singer. It's like a famous paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Famine, Affluence, and Morality. Have you read it before?
No, I have not read that one.
It's pretty wild, man. It essentially makes the claim that most people in Western society are evil.
Okay.
And it lays out an argument which is kind of sound. It feels like it leads you down this like logical path, but then at the end you just feel like shit because you're like, fuck, I can't refute this argument. And
well, let me give it let me
Sunday debate because I think it's
let me give it a stab. What's the name of it again?
Unpacking.
What's the name of it again?
Sorry, what was that?
So what's the? Oh, it's a famous essay. I see. Famine, something, affluence. This one. The essay. Famine, affluence, and morality is this one.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Famine, affluence, and morality. Yeah. So he lays out this argument of like, in a nutshell. I mean, it's a pretty well structured argument, but he lays out this hypothetical of like, let's say you're walking by like a little pond, whether it's like a little fountain or like a pond full of mud.
See, it's already flawed. I've never
And,
walked next to a pond or so.
What was that?
See, it's already flawed. I've never walked next to a pond or
Yeah,
one of the.
yeah. So like, I mean, it's like the idea is like you're walking by a pond and you see a child drowning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you save the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, you say yes. And then he asks, "Well, like, what if you're wearing like really nice clothes and like really nice shoes?"
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to say yes, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to put a child's life above your clothes.
Okay.
And then he makes this argument of like, well, every time you buy something outside of your immediate need
Yeah.
for survival, like he calls it a luxury good.
Yeah.
You are essentially not saving this child from drowning, because throughout the world there's so much famine and suffering, and people are dying from the lack of clean water, food, or just basic medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of like, and this is something that I feel like Sam Harris is going down this road, because Sam Harris, he did this interview with Rick Caruso where he's like, you should not, like, he's talking to this billionaire and he's like, you should not be hoarding billions of dollars. You should be like, you can like measurably end a lot of suffering, right? And you can tell Rick Caruso's like, oh, this is kind of an awkward conversation, but I feel like Sam Harris is like on this kind of like effective altruism, or I think this paper specifically extrapolates to like a very extreme end of the spectrum, but he definitely, it feels kind of like, I guess his first clause is like, if you can end someone's suffering without compromising your morality or hurting yourself, then you should, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second clause is there's lots of suffering in the world. And so like he has like 4 clauses that he kind of walks you through, and he tries to dissect it from like, well, I don't know, the proximity problem, which is like, well, like we're here in America and like the suffering is not around us. But he then makes this argument, well, there's a lot of really good organizations that can do that for you, right? It really is like a very simple like cup of coffee problem.
Mm-hmm. So, first of all, Sam Harris had Peter Singer on the podcast a few times. I believe they spoke about this. I remember this argument now. So the reason that it doesn't run through is because, and this is actually why any form of analytic philosophy that tries to place human affairs into kinds of equations. So like, if this true, then that, therefore you should have no reason to do that, right? The reason it doesn't run through is because we don't act according to what we understand. We act according to what we feel. That's just how things are. And in fact, even when you understand something, what drives you to do the thing is the understanding snaps a certain feeling into a position. If it becomes salient to you, that means because it was instantiated in your body in some form of a feeling. And it has to be close enough in space and in time for you to be able to do something about it. Which means, for example, if you have a very strong feeling of altruism, which means you feel bad about somebody, like you feel the plight of somebody else, but you have no money to contribute. Now, it's true that you can always volunteer or do other things to help other people. But let's say, just for simplicity for now, let's say the only way to help would be like to donate money, right? And which of course it isn't, but let's say it was. Then the proximity in space or in action is the fact that you simply don't have any to give. Now, it's true that if you have $10, you can give $2, sure. But okay, but it's not quite the same as like if you have thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars or billions of dollars, right? So there's that proximity of action. Actionable. Is it actionable for you? And proximity in the temporal space. So like if you felt you were stuck in the savannah somewhere and you learned something about this village, and then you went back home, and then if the feeling is no longer salient in you when you went back home, it's now further away from you in time, and it's kind of hard to move yourself to do something about it unless you feel something in real time about it. And a lot of people have this, they just feel it all the time. They have a bleeding heart, they want to help all the time, and if they also have the resources, they do. But the thing is, first of all, I don't remember if it was Peter Singer or some other philosopher, and if it was Peter Singer, then it would be kind of funny that he also made this other argument. But there is this just fact of diffused compassion, or
diffuse responsibility or diffuse
compassion. So like,
Okay.
but this compassion is actually the wrong word. Diffused empathy. Because the second, and the example that is given, it was another actually philosopher. It was either Peter Singer or another philosopher on the Sam Harris podcast where I heard this for the first time. But it is just a fact that, and this is why he was just kind of, the person was explaining why we don't do that thing, why we don't help a lot of people when clearly they need to be helped, right? It's because we are capable genetically to only feel very strongly for a few individuals. We're not wired. Our feelings are not wired to feel on like a large scale and then in that way, because we grew up in small villages. There's probably evolutionary reasons for this, right? So if you hear about a little kid that fell into a well and it's in the news and you can see it, you're like, oh my God, like I wanna help, right? But if I give you an idea that is diffused and it's not graphic and you can't see it, and I tell you, well, guess what? Like these few thousand of these kids are now suffering from starvation in this place, right? And you're like, oh, like unless you have some kind of like an immediate thing that pulls on your emotional strings, your empathy diffuses. You don't feel as strongly because you're incapable of feeling that much empathy to so many people. Not really. And that's why people tend to like care less, because it's just automatic. They feel less, right? So the reason this argument doesn't run is because when you have a child drowning in front of you, it's right in front of you. It's immediate. It's close to you in space, in time, in action, in every way. So you not acting on it would require you suppressing a lot of strong feelings in order to keep walking, right? But when you're talking about, well, therefore it's the same, why aren't you helping? And also, I remember this paper is very old, right? I'm pretty sure that we've learned a lot, and this is very outdated argument. But the reason it's just for that reason alone, it just doesn't make any sense, because it's not the kind of creature that we are. You can't like care for so many people all the time, and also unless you kind of immediately you kind of have your own issues. So it's true that when you have good organizations that can actually do a lot of good work for you, it would make sense for you to give as much as you possibly can. But that's also a matter of a habit, because you're like, well, why don't I first learn how to kind of manage my own finances so I can grow my finances even more, and then I'm going to start contributing even more. And to some degree, that might even be true. Most people might never get there. Some people might be right about this trajectory. But there's so many different calculations. Also, there's the attention span, and it's complicated by the fact that there's a lot of organizations that are, that do like work for you, like that you can donate money to, uh, that actually pocket a lot of the money. There's a lot of corruption. Like the Red Cross came on the heat for that quite a while ago. Like it turned out to be like a pretty not that great of an organization. They're basically pocketing like 90% of the money. So now, are you throwing it to the wind? You're just giving it to other people when the actual work that you're putting it for is not actually being done. That's also true. So like, why would you do that? And that's kind of like Elon's point, which is like there's a difference between doing a thing that will make you feel good, but it's not actually doing anything. It's just you feel good, so it's selfish, versus actually doing something that actually in the aggregate does something good. And there was another philosopher on Sam's podcast. again, I'm already at this point mixing him up, so I'm not sure who was who basically, he was pretty young, and he basically created a scale of like all the organizations that are actually doing great work, so you know for sure that your money actually goes towards something, right? That's why it's not that straightforward, like, because if it's in the immediate moment, unless you can feel a lot and you have the money and you're driven immediately to action, it's not, no, it doesn't mean you're evil. That's not the definition of evil, not by any stretch of the imagination. If you consciously seeing, like, there's like almost like willing indifference, you can't be responsible for a state you can't occupy, right? So if you're not wired in this way, it's not the same as like watching somebody suffering tremendously in front of you, or maybe even deriving pleasure out of it. That's evil, right? So I think there's a big conflation between there's big words, and of course it's written that way to be, to make a mark. Um, to my mind, um, it's hyperbolic at best.
Yeah, I know that the effective altruists have kind of developed a new movement in nonprofits, right? And these like ultra transparent and like you said, there's like rating scales now that rank some of these, and I know the big ones definitely have corruption, right? Because I think every organization, when it gets big enough, there is going to be corruption. But yeah, it is something interesting because there is this kind of like I guess in this country, even though we are very kind of we have access to a lot of resources, by no means do I feel like safe or secure. I think a lot of Americans maybe feel like we're off putting this concept of retirement and we're just taking it a day at a time, right? But there's also certainly, in America, there's 4,000 billionaires, right? And I'd like to think that if I was a billionaire, I would certainly allocate a lot of my effort to ending suffering. And I know a lot of billionaires do. Like I think Bill Gates, even though I just saw some photos of the Epstein files release and looks a little sketchy, but he definitely has been, putting a lot of efforts to like, basic drugs and vaccines for third world countries and stuff. So I think there's like, I think there are good billionaires in the world,
but also they donate. But also the billionaires.
Paper too. It's 1972.
Exactly.
I do.
No, but also billionaires. But billionaires donate all the time. It's just that every time they do, the same people who criticize them for not donating, the second they do, and this is pointed out to them, their retort is, "Oh, they're just doing it for tax purposes." It was like, okay, so like, so there's no winning then, right? It's like, well, first of all, how do you know, right? So you're reading their minds, you're reading what's in their hearts, you think you know. So it's like you're just taking the cynical position. And also, again, there's this uncomfortable fact that not everybody are as good with resources as everybody else. It's always better to have somebody that is good at allocating resources with resources than somebody who is not, because otherwise it just kind of goes to waste. That whole thing with the with Elon and Bill Gates, not just for shorting Tesla, but also for the fact that, when Bill Gates was saying, well, like, why don't you donate to this and that? And Elon's point is like, hey, I, I own three of the most altruistic companies that ever existed. You can argue against that claim, but that's his perception, and that argument runs through because ultimately, what humanity would benefit from is all the tools that these companies create, right? So altruism is not just to say, "Oh, look, I gave." Yeah, but if you're not effective, you can give all day long, and if it's not doesn't make any difference, then you're just wasting resources. You're not being altruistic. So it's complicated. Can people with a lot of resources do better? Always, always. But the it's just the insistence of seeing things in a negative light and not giving them any, even the slightest possibility of maybe actually being something good that is trying its best and not succeeding just like everything else, you know? Like it feels to me like that's the attitude that needs to go more than anything else. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of and people always say, "Well, it's understandable." You know, no, it's not. That's a weird and a lame excuse. We are responsible for how we feel, not anybody else. It's like, well, because of all these things happen. Guess what? People overcome way bigger things. Like if you can't take responsibility for how you feel and therefore how you speak and therefore how you talk about other people, then why do you expect anybody else to do any better? You know, it always has to start with what we do, even if it feels like we can't do much. But it has to. If you can't do it, then why? What right do you have to expect anybody else to do something? Um, and that just it's always easy to point your finger. I don't know what Peter Singer's feelings are now about what he wrote, and I bet you we can even pull it up during our weekly live to see what Peter Singer said on Sam Harris, because I'm sure there was like quite a few podcasts that they spoke about this. Yeah, but definitely it is that I would not agree, especially in the Western world. Come on, man, it's like humans are humans everywhere. If anything, I would just call this paper racist at this point. All right, so today, unfortunately, I'm going to have to jump off relatively early, guys. But this is a good subject to actually tackle. What a struggle. If you guys want to know a little bit more about the retreat, we still have some spots. Make sure you email me. We're going to be looking at the laser, doing some fun things in Costa Rica in February. So make sure you email me to dengoprox@gmail.com. And the only other announcement I will make for today is just go check out my Substack. It's just at Danny Goller on Substack. I published my first article there, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't even have time to make any other announcements aside from just follow me across all platforms. It's just Danny Goller on TikTok and Instagram, Goller Danny on X, LaserX83 on Twitch, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube, DANGO Thoughts. And come join the membership program so you can join our members live on Sunday. We'll be talking more about Peter Singer and why he's racist. No, just talk about the paper and see. We just let's start a new trend. Hashtag Peter Singer is a racist. And grab yourself some merch. One of them is the core COR, Code of Reality Designs, and also there's the Human First design that denotes the attitude of treating each other as humans first before any political affiliation, religious conviction, or any ideas you might have about the world. I appreciate you guys. Guru, thank you so much for moderating. Nico, thank you so much for coming on. Val, thank you so much for the gift. I know today's a little abrupt, but I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for all the audience that is always joining and asking questions and chiming in. I appreciate you guys. Peace and love. Have a good night. Ciao. Have a good night, everybody.